Hello and welcome to the Beautiful Business Podcast, where today I'm joined by the amazing Dines. Many of you will know Dines, but for those of you that don't, he's the co-founder and creative director of multi-award-winning creative agency Studio Blup. Having started with an idea in university to now directing, consulting and creating for huge worldwide brands, I am so excited to find out about the life of this phenomenal agency. And, surprise, surprise, agency life hasn't always been plain sailing, and Dines and his business partner Alex are now on their way back to the top of the roller coaster after first selling and then reacquiring the business. Now, this podcast is about profit and purpose, and today Dines will help us to understand how the two don't always see eye to eye, especially when you're trying to build a legacy.
What does that word legacy for me means? And I think that's when, I kind of realized well, it's all about the money. It's all about the brand, big brand names. It's about what you leave your input onto this world. And I have a son now, and it's just like I'm doing everything for him now for legacy to make sure that his generation is fine. So we invented Blup Academy. And that's when our kind of energy and focus and all the 10 years of speaking to universities, going to across the world to speak to thousands of students came to place. And it was just the awakening of I'm building this thing to make sure that this small Dines has a place in this world. And if you can have a look at Studio Blup and have a look at what Dines has created, then that will inspire him to achieve greatness.
Welcome to the Beautiful Business Podcast from the Wow Company. If you're searching for the right strategies, tools, and connections to ignite your thinking and elevate your business, then join us for a fortnightly dose of inspiration. Our guests range from industry-leading agencies and cutting-edge tech pioneers to motivational speakers and executives, all offering actionable insights to help you thrive in profit and purpose. So, whether you're a growing consultancy or an agency leader, this podcast is your source of knowledge and encouragement to spark meaningful change in your business and beyond. Dines, hello, welcome.
Oh, what a beautiful intro. Can I frame that somehow and put it on my wall?
Absolutely, yeah. We'll do a special recording for you.
I love that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to finding out about this. I feel honoured that you joined us on the podcast. So before we get into kind of all the professional stuff, I always wonder who the person is behind all these amazing work achievements. So can you tell us one awesome thing about you that we might not already know?
Oh, okay. The most awesome thing I think about for me is that die-hard attitude of never giving up. I think it's the fact that, I've always kind of played the underdog card and realised, there's something burning inside me to achieve, just use what I have in terms of talent to get to the top. And really try and push that as much as I can. And when I'm feeling a little bit down, I realise, okay, what the mission is. So yes, my go-to attitude.
Amazing.
And my die-hard attitude is a thing that people may not know about me.
Yeah. And is that something that you've built up over time, or were you just born with that, Dine?
I'll tell you what it was, Chloe. I think it was when I started for university.
Okay.
And things weren't really going my way, and I realised everyone has their own life. Everyone's doing their stuff for themselves, and no one's really going to help you. So unless you're strong, resilient, and learn how to become the man that you need to become, then no one's going to help you. So I just kind of learned the basics of just understanding who I was as a guy, where I wanted to be, and also just kind of just have fun with it. At the same time, not put myself under too much pressure. So that drive was kind of built up from just realizing that self-awareness, and just took it from there.
Yeah, and look where it's got you. That's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing. So let's bring it back to professional Dines then. Can you tell us about your creation of Studio Blup and kind of bringing it to life?
Studio Blup was basically formed, I always say this so well, Mike, it was by mistake. So I created it in my second year at university when there was a project about self-branding. So everyone was tasked a brief about creating a business card for yourself, create a website for yourself, and act like you're a freelancer. And at the time I said to myself, that when I finish university, I want to have a so-called company. So I made up the name Studio Blup, studio to make it sound bigger.
Okay.
Blup was just 4 letters I knew some love to write when I was graffitiing. put them two together, and I said, I'm going to use this time in my course to actually create a company rather than creating something for myself. And luckily I did that, because as soon as I finished the project, I then launched a small little website, and I was in the middle of Southampton studying at Solent University, and people actually thought I was actually a company, like a company with 6 people in it. It was just little old me as a student, right? And just looking back at where I used to always have a vision. So I used to go down to the library and just sit there for hours and look at these design magazines. And in the middle of these pages used to be like studio, what do you call it? Like studio spotlights. Actually, that's what it's called, studio spotlights. And there used to be like these big white rooms with big screens and like computers everywhere, and these cool people. And I was like, I want this. I actually want this somehow. And I think that was always just built into me that, okay, so I want a business somehow, whether it's in design, whether it's in art, whether it's in illustration. I just want this space one day to call home and just create and have a team that actually propels amazing work to the world. And I think with those small ingredients from a young age, I was like, okay, how do I get to that point, and what do I need to do to achieve those early goals?
And what, especially earlier on, what challenges did you come up against?
I think it was an experience. So you got to think about this. So when you're at university, you're trying to balance your coursework, and then at the same time you're still trying to pay for your rent, your food. You're trying to survive off baked beans or just like food for like £2 or something like that. So the challenges were just how I put myself through university, and also how to understand what business really is. The most important thing was how to hone the skill, how to make sure that the skills that I'm developing is commercial enough that people would want, but also abstract enough that it will stand out against a crowded market. So all those kind of ingredients I needed to learn. I need to understand that there will be challenges, there will be obstacles in the way. But if I stay focused, developed a name in this world, developed a unique input into the creative industry, as long as I stuck to that, then I knew each day, if the challenges come, I could overcome them.
Awesome. It feels like considering this was you in university, it feels like you were almost ahead of the game already at that stage. I remember me in university, I had not a clue where I was going to be, in 10 years' time. I'd had no big dream, as it were. Maybe a big dream, but certainly not a plan. So, yeah, it feels like you were I don't know, did you feel like you were in a different place to the people that you were in uni with?
So I studied at Southampton Solent, and I did 4 years. So the first year was a foundation course. So I was there a year before everyone else on my actual design course arrived to Southampton. So in a way, I felt like I was kind of ahead anyway. I knew the city, I knew the people, I knew local businesses, I knew what I wanted to do. So when I got introduced to my graphic design course, there was about 70 students there, that I almost became that guy that was just ahead and had that vision and that dream, and almost said to basically the whole class, we're a unique opportunity. We're studying this amazing course. What do we want to do with our lives? I want to have a studio. I want to be as big as these certain brands. I want this. And everyone used to look at me like I'm crazy, but that drive was there. And luckily I had, tutors there that believed in the vision. Not necessarily agreed in the work I was producing, because, it was so against the brief. I knew again early on that each bit of work I needed to do needed to be good enough for outside of university work, and needed to be good enough for the real world. So I would take risks in producing stuff that not necessarily followed the brief, but also made my portfolio stronger. So then I always had a leg up. So that drive, again, was a thing where I had to kind of prove my peers right, that, Dines could be the next best thing or the next big thing out of our course. And that kind of pressure, I thrived with that. Especially with the contacts I made outside of university, I understood how business was done. So one of my good friends, Gary, who owned one of the best bars in Southampton called the Orange Rooms, we were tight, and I used to see how he used to talk to his staff. I used to run an amazing business. It was one of the best bars in Southampton, and because of that, that inspired me to want to be like these local business owners I knew. So, I was watching and learning, the pressure of trying to become someone off my course, and knowing that when I finish, those foundations were set.
That's awesome. And so you finish and you're off out into the big wide world. What was that like?
So as you can imagine, it was daunting. It was scary. Actually, I remember on the way to my sister. I've got a twin sister, and she studied at Liverpool University. I was in the car up there with my mum and dad and my auntie. I said, "Mum, I want to start my own business." People were telling me that within this industry, you're not going to get a job. There's 1,000 people trying to apply for one junior role. And I just don't want to be that statistic. I don't want to move back to London and live in your space and, you know, become reliant on you. I want to explore this world and take the risk and start from the bottom. Got that basis to build something and, again, make my family proud and make them know that, you know, they made the right decisions, kicking me out to university.
Awesome. And that vision that you had then and those goals that you had then, if you could foresee where you are now, is it where you imagined? Are you further? Are you less far? Like, whereabouts are you on that journey?
I've achieved everything that I achieved, that I visioned when I was younger. You know, especially, you know, when Alex joined Studio Blup as well. You know, he was the best friends from university, and we had the joint goals. But my personal goals were, you know, working with the world's biggest brands. You know, having a studio in London, traveling around the world, having galleries. You know, inspiring thousands of people. You know, having our merch, you know, all the stuff it was all tick. And Chloe, to be honest, it's once you're there, it's like almost what is next. And we'll get onto it a bit later, but you know, it's something that was driving me every day. First of all, it was personal goals. You know, like I want to be famous. You know, I want to, you know, be rich. You know, I want to, you know, open doors for people. You know, after a while, that kind of swindles and purpose comes into place. With the studio, you know, you want to have a name that's everyone in the industry knows. You want to have work that inspires people. You want to have a team that can help you fulfill your dream. These are all big visions, awards, you know, and these all came true. So at the moment, we've done that. How do we make a bigger impact? What's the bigger astronomical goal?
Yeah, and we'll definitely come back to that. But now, a few years ago, you looked to sell, right? Was it completely sell, or what was going on for you?
So after, again, this was on the vision board, right? So, you know, I used to watch these things, Dragon's Den and all these business programs just to get inspired. And I learned this word called the exit. An exit, what does that mean? So you build up a company and, you know, you sell it and then you can retire into the sunset, you know, and you have, you know, your pockets full and, you know, you can just do whatever you want to do because you've done your hard work. So throughout Studio Blup, you know, that wasn't really our goal, but our goal was to just become the best we can and actually have a unique product, which is our creativity that people want. So Alice and I, we built up this, you know, amazing company, but amazing reputation. You know, we never let anyone down. All our clients were happy. Each work we were getting was getting better and better, to the point where, you know, we had a few offers on the table, you know, and those offers came from, you know, word of mouth. So we would work for a client and the client would say, look, let's talk about, you know, bringing you into the company and, you know, you guys can be our in-house agency and, you know, we'll offer you this amount of money, you know, but we want to grow Studio Blup. So we had a couple of those conversations and it got to a point where there was one offer that was really kind of quite lucrative. And we were just about to, you know, it was for a well-known kind of sort of brands. And we was about to sign the dotted line. And actually, we spoke to a few of our experienced friends and they said, Dines, you've got to read this contract again. This is, even though you'll probably get a couple of mil out of this, it's quite a hefty contract. It's quite a long buyout. You're going to be working for someone for the next 5-6 years. And your brand and your legacy and the ideas are going to dwindle because you're now working for someone else, and really think about what you want to do and are they really going to be a match in your ambitions? So we went to sign these heads of terms. That was actually the contracts, and we walked into this room. We had champagne and, you know, people ready there. There was photographers, and me and Alex just said, we're going to have to turn this down. They're like, what? I said, guys, like, you know, we we have this vision to achieve it, and we know that if we come into this company, it's going to swallow us up, and what is left for us are our ambitions. So we're going to have to, kind of have to decline. And that kind of then led us to a bit more of an understanding. Okay, what does the exit plan mean? And if an offer did come up on the table again, how do we find a company that matches our ambition? How do we find a company that takes us to a whole new level and not just use us for our names and our creativity? So then a few years went past, understood the game a little bit more and understood, okay, the game is to exit. Okay, what do we need to do? Build up profits and, build up a brand. And then all of a sudden we had our mentor approach us and said, I'm building a super group. And I think you guys are a super agency, and I think you guys are the missing piece of the puzzle. And we would love you to join, but you're not big enough yet. So I said, what do you mean? He's like, well, you need to improve your profits. You need to put a bit more of a structure. We need to understand what your proposal is, your mission statement, all that stuff. Become a real company. So I was like, challenge accepted. So within that kind of year, we built up and we formed the basis of what Studio Blup was and what we did for companies, what we had to offer, brands, etc. And then he loved it. He said, let's put an offer in. And that's the start of a collaboration of a group and an acquisition of Studio Blup.
Wow. Okay. Well, I kind of almost don't want to ruin the flow there because there's so much more to this, isn't there? So, so can you just tell us where we are in the timeline here? Was this around sort of 2020 time? Yeah.
So 1999. Oh, that sounds so old school, doesn't it? It's like, in the 90s, man. It was, so just before COVID. So one of my best friends, he's out in China, and he said, COVID is real.
Mm-hmm.
This is fiction. And he's like, like, I'm in China and they're shutting down businesses and I haven't left my room for ages. This has come to the West. And this was January 2020.
Okay.
So he said, look, just make sure you prepare your company and tell your clients that, whatever happens, we're going to be open. But beware that you could go bankrupt here. Like,
wow.
All clients could close off. The world could go to rubbish. And you could crumble. So secure yourself. So this deal came at the right time. So
yeah, if it wasn't COVID, would this deal have still been inviting to you? Would you still have gone for it, or was that a big part in your decision?
The big part of the decision was security. I think that we promised ourselves, we have 10 more years to build up and then we sell, but we don't. This is when the scare tactics would happen across all the media. I don't know if I'm going to be alive in like 2 years. I don't know what the hell this thing is. So it's a land grab, and it's like, look, let's secure this, and let's just make sure that if anything worse happens, Alex and the team are protected. And we didn't want to, at the time, close the business or whatever. And this is an opportunity to join a bigger conglomerate, a bigger group, to make sure that there's cash reserves there. So if everything did fail, we could still churn along, and hopefully out the end of this, everyone's all survived. Out of this, both literally and in business terms. So clearly, it was almost like we were forced into the decision early, but also it was an exciting opportunity because, it's almost like, someone wants us and there's a chance to really grow as much as we can. So then it got to the point where, we just had to secure ourselves, making sure we got all invoices kind of paid, stack some cash for 6 months worth of cash. And we were ready for when the big thing hit.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. So that was in January, you were kind of warned about it. When did the offer come to you?
So COVID hit, lockdown happened, and, there was conversations with a load of people about, the acquisition. And that was 51% of Studio Blup. And, then COVID hit and everything locked down. And the kind of conversation just died down a bit. And it was like, oh, damn. Okay, forget it. Like we've done what we needed to prepare. Even if we're independent, we can still push through this and close the studio. So then all of a sudden the conversation happened again, and this was about August 2020, right in the middle of kind of lockdownish. And it was like, look, this is the offer we want to do. We're still really passionate about this. The aim of the game is, to build this group to as big as we can and sell it. We want to offer you percentage in the group as well. So when we do sell, that's your kind of reward for staying low and building a big business, a good business, profitable. So all the things were like adding up. We were thinking, okay, cool. We're kind of going to have a safe place. We're going to be working with experts. I mean, the group were amazing. The people in there was incredible. I learned a lot. We've all of a sudden got HR. All of a sudden we've got lawyers. It's good. So we can actually have big boy conversations with big brands, and because we had the backing of the group. And also, if we do sell the group, then we then have, a percentage of that. So that's really a motivation. And, even if we did have to sort of work for the next 5-6 years, at least we are building something together and it doesn't feel like we're just separated and just put into this box. So the conversation happened, and then the contract signed around about August of 2020. And that's when the fun began.
Yeah. So that initial kind of talk and the contracts being signed, that all sounds like happy days. Like it sounds like there were no immediate regrets. Is that fair?
Oh yeah. I mean, look, because we had thick skin, Alex and I, we demanded a lot, we wanted to protect our name. So we still own the name Studio Blup. No one basically telling us what to do. We still want to feel like an independent. A lot of it was on our terms. We want security. So, just in case it all goes wrong, we want to get kicked out of our own company. So what are those things that we can put in our contract that can protect us? What is the buyout clause? Buyback clause. Is there a, what does the earn out look like? What does the cash look like up front? So we really, and we had the team behind us to really say, this is what we want to put on the table. And they said, yes, sounds amazing. Let's just do it. Because the group has so much ambition, and just to be part of ambition was so refreshing, because we're like, they're going to be winners. We're going to be winners anyway. So let's just enjoy the ride. And, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. If it happens, we're all going to be smiling. So it was almost that thicker skin made us stronger and not kids anymore.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So it was all good. And you said that's when the fun started. So talk us through what happened next. When did it stop being so idyllic?
We moved to a beautiful studio in Soho. That was part of the deal. We didn't have to pay rent all of a sudden. It was amazing. Like, got this 4-story townhouse apartment in the middle of Dean Street. It was, Soho House around the corner. We were right in the middle of Soho. The vibe was there. Clients would come and love it. We had a roof garden over in the summer, and all the team were there from the other agencies that were in this group. It was such an amazing look and feel. Like I said, we had amazing people part of the group. So I would learn up our CMO, our CFO, the chairmen, everyone. These were big time people, and I was sitting around a table and thinking, this is good. This is good. And then, like I said, we're going into pitches, and I'm talking about my vision and, the creativity and, getting them inspired. But then when it came to sort of negotiation and contract talks, I would just give it to the experts, and they would just close these deals, and we would earn treble the amount of money that we would ever have earned, because I'm not the one negotiating, it's actual experts. So I'm learning from this process. Alex is always learning as well. He was growing as a managing director. He was becoming the best in the country. He was becoming, a bit ruthless with his decisions, and he really had the intention of growing us and learning these hard skills from people above him. And there was almost a little bit for both of us of an imposter syndrome. But then we realized that Studio Blup is so unique that we don't need to feel like we don't belong. Like, we belong at this table, because that's why people are listening to what we've got to say. So that went on for a while, and we were having really good fun. But then, little taps on the shoulders saying, Dines, what's your, how much do you reckon you're going to be making this year? And we need to hit targets. We need to have KPIs for you guys. We need to start, ramping up the sales processes, and, we need to really, hit these targets, because if we don't, then, the sale might not happen. So we was getting little chirps in the back of my head, but I was kind of ignoring them, like, okay. So we're still doing our thing, but the pressure of making money before the group was actually increasing. And that's when it started to wobble a little bit, because we were going from doing work that we wanted to do to work that we had to take on in order to pay service charges, group costs and profits. And that's when it started getting a bit crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell, isn't it? Because when you first hear those pushes, it's hard to tell whether that's a good thing, even like we can do this. Like that's almost partly the reason that you went into this big group is so that you could grow and do better, and like maybe it's something that's really useful for you. So how did you? Well, I guess it comes down to the fact that you had to take on these projects that weren't you, right? Is that when you were like, actually, this isn't about growth, this is about money?
Yeah. So Chloe, so we're torn, right? So I'm I'm doing my dives, I'm out there on stage talking, I'm networking, I'm just doing our marketing. But then it got to the point where, I was getting questions about why am I doing stage talks when I should be doing new business. And everyone I met had to be a contact. We had to make money out of everyone I met.
Mm-hmm.
So then all of a sudden I'm going into meetings and saying, oh, so Dance, who did you meet today? And, is there what's the pipeline looking like? I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. I'm not talking to people just to use them. I'm here to build genuine connections, and I want to, not just to rinse money out of them. I'm not that type of guy. No, but Dines, you are the business. You're a new business. You need to. So that clouded my judgment. So I'm going in conversations, trying to be authentic, but then having a closing line, and then, obviously it would work, but I just felt dirty. I felt like I was just trying to make money from contacts that I highly respected. So, I found myself under pressure. And when I'm finding myself under pressure, I perform. I love pressure, but it was a wrong type of pressure. I was doing pressure to impress, the board, to say, oh, yeah, I've got six clients, 6 meetings, and, it could equal X amount of money, pat on the shoulder, one on Dines. I'm like, okay, is this what the game is about?
Yeah, this is exactly what you said you didn't want when you initially was talking to your mum about owning your own business, right? Like you didn't want to work for anyone else. You wanted to go out and do things your way.
That's it. And, we could talk about this later, but legacy, everything that we did as a studio was about inspiring, the next generation or creatives or that. I mean, this is why we were known in industry, because we were taking risks in design. But when you find yourself not taking those risks because you had to go more commercial just to get the extra 50K to hit your targets, then you're losing that innovation because your team is then focused on just doing a website. And then I feel like I'm on my own trying to innovate, but then I'm waiting for my turn to speak to my creative team who are looking at me saying, Dines, I thought we was at Studio Blup to create. All I'm doing is just doing this brochure or whatever. I mean, there's nothing wrong with brochures, they were fun. But it was just about the money, and I'm trying to inspire them, and I'm on stage talking about us innovating, but in reality, I'm not even inspiring myself. So it was all a charade. It was all just, we're making so much money that the other side of the business was dying. And I think that's where the kind of conflict between Alex and I came in, where, he needed to hit these targets. I went to innovate, and we were kind of like clashing because I was thinking, I haven't got my partner to bounce off ideas anymore because you're too busy in these board meetings, and I felt like I'm on my own. And I'm seeing the company from my vision when I was a kid to becoming just an average product. It killed me. It was killing me. And I was just like, oh my God, like, what the hell? What's going on? Like, have I sold my soul for this? Like, is this what it really is? To the point where I said, do I need this? Do I need to be in this position? Like, I'm a digital artist, I'm a creative director, like, I'm not a businessman, and I'm an entrepreneur, but this is not what life is about.
Okay, so after you had this realization, I'm keen to understand 2 things. 1, what happened next? But 2, did you and Alex sort of align at this point where you said, right, I'm not with this now, like I want to get this business back to what it was?
It got quite heated in terms of just the staff, and when I say heated, we used to go in and we used to do these things about, it's called level 10, and we would discuss, what do we want for the company, where we're taking it, and we would get into kind of heated discussions because, again, I wanted to create these amazing ideas, but then we're then saying we haven't got resources to do it, and then I'm then shifted back into just coming to meetings I didn't want to be in. So I found it really frustrating, and so did he, because when I lose motivation, I just kind of lose it, and I'm just like, okay, I'm like, yeah, whatever, and that's not who I am. This is not who I developed to be, I lost the hunger, I lost the drive. So then we sat down one day and I said, like, what do we want to do? Like, I said, we're breaking our necks at breakneck speed. No one's happy, and you're quite clearly stressed, bro. Like you're so stressed because you got people tapping you on the shoulder more than me, because they separated me from it and they want to cloud my mind of this, but he was in it every day and I see it in his face. He's broken. And I said, what do we want? And he went, I had to just remind us both what the vision and the goal was. We sat down, we both like nearly cried. It was like, you know what? Let's do this. Like, you know what? This is the vision of what we want is not this. And there's either one way out of this. We either change the way what we're doing or we get out of the group. What is it going to be? And it was a big decision there and then where it was just like, let's start pushing, let's start putting the things in place to kind of get our exit out, basically.
Wow. Well, that's scary, right? What a scary decision to come to. So keep going. What happened next?
So we went away on a little away day with everyone from the agency, from the board, basically. And it was an amazing weekend. Like, it was so good. It was like, this is like facing the countryside, a beautiful church. And like this church renovated into like apartments, whatever. And there was a lot of arguing of where the group was going, and all the other agencies were in the same position as us, where it's just like no one's happy. Everyone's just making this money because we end goal of selling the group, was the main priority. And however we got there, it didn't matter how we got there. We just had to hit these targets. So no one was really happy, and there was arguing. It got quite really, really toxic. So me and us would just sit back and just not really input, because we in our head was like, okay, we know what we need to do. So what we then done is we started like, just kind of winding down a little bit and almost started innovating our own stuff, right? So it's like the Blup Academy. We started innovating more of our product side. We started innovating more of our consultancy side. And we thought, let the agency just run itself. If it wants to become this, then at least we're building that little conglomerate, but we've got this thing on the side that we want to then exit into. So that's when we formed just the word Blup Limited rather than Studio Blup. And then that's when we then kind of really put our focus a little bit onto this and built this brand up. So then if everything goes wrong in there, we then had an opportunity to jump ship into like something that was really ours. So we then had a show called the Blup X, and we do it every year. It's this amazing show where, we hire out a space and there's big digital screens, there's music, there's DJs, there's vibe. We invite our friends, our family, everyone who knows Blup. There's about 200 people come to these events, right? You're coming next time, right? And at the end of it, Alice come up to me, and and before that, so we had an offer for the group, and we were promised 5 years to grow Studio Blup, and we then sell the group. This offer came after 2 years, and we were like, okay, so we would sell the rest of Studio Blup for a fraction of the money that we were promised, because we would have had 5 years to grow our business, and then we could 5x it, whatever. Anyway, it came quick. I was like, okay, cool. So by this time, we made peace of selling Blup for a fraction of the cost. And then at the end of Blup X, Alice come up to me and was buzzing. It was a great show. And then he said to me, the deal's falling through. And we then, we were not selling the group. There was a slight smile, because we're like, okay, we're going to not sell this group. We're going to sell earlier than we planned. But at the same time, if another offer comes in, we've got more time to build. Or this is our chance to actually get out of the group and be independent again. So it was almost like a bittersweet. We were that close to making a lot of money, or enough money, or we exit and we go independent again. And by the smile on both of our faces, we're like, let's go independent. Because another thing as well, Chloe, just quickly on that, a lot of people used to say, why did you sell Studio Blup? Like, you guys were doing great stuff. You're on a path. You've created this amazing brand. But you've joined the group that doesn't even match, doesn't even look like you. You've gone corporate. Guys, what are you doing? So that was always in the back of our heads. People are right, People are kind of right. This wasn't the best match, but we had to make it happen. And that's when we said the exit was the exit. And then we knew once we become independent, we will answer all those questions and just become who we are.
Okay, so having those conversations about the exit then, talk to us about what that was like, because I can't imagine that was comfortable.
So I think when the deal was falling through, we got a lot of advice and people within the group as well. And even from the chairman, who was brilliant throughout from day one. And we felt like he had our back anyway, even though it was like his company. Don't forget, we were really good. We still are. We were really tight. And this is a guy that really believed in Studio Blup and gave us that lifeline. I always thank him for it, and I always thank them for giving us the opportunities, to buy our house and to set us up, and always that, and putting us into these situations. So there's never any bad blood, and we stayed out of all the conflicts. We stayed independent. I stayed out of any arguments and stuff like that. And, I kept myself to myself and still meant that I was neutral. So there was always that respect there. So when a deal fell through, we just kind of said, we spoke to the board and said, the guys, I think we can't do another 4 years of this, of head down and just making money and burning out the team. I was getting burnt out. I was doing 2 a.m. night shifts just to fill in proposals. There was one point we'd do 5 pitches like at one point, and I was like, what the hell is going on? We'll probably lose like 3 of them, but it's just like, it's so soul destroying, because I didn't even want to do these pitches, but we had to do it because we needed to have that EBITDA big. So he knew that, we were getting burnt out, and we sat down and said, I think we want to like kind of exercise our right to get out of this group, and feel like, we want to be independent again, and just basically start fresh. What does that look like? So there was a few things, there was, in a way, you're kind of looking at like a jewel leaving the crown, and obviously it wasn't going to go down too well. Throughout that time, we were focusing so much on building, servicing clients, that we were forgetting about our marketing. So the end of 2023, profits were going down, because all of a sudden we're not innovating to create the conversations. We're just servicing. So then all of a sudden you're not getting inquiries anymore. And I called this. I said, guys, we need time to innovate. No, make sure all the clients are happy. Okay. So then it got to a point where we were making zero money. We were, from August to December, like nothing came through. And luckily we had a massive part of the year at the beginning, but it was just going like that. And I warned it. I said, this is not sustainable. Anyway, it did happen. So the conversation with the exit was basically like, look, you're seeing us crumble. We don't feel like we're having the support. No one really knows what to do with Studio Blup. They're giving us silly marketing ideas that's just so old school. It's just like, no, we're Blup. We need stuff. We'll get people excited. So no one was really inspiring us anymore. And then, we spoke to our lawyers, and they said, like, there's a few lines in this contract that we can help you get out of. You're in debt to the group. So we had to pay service charge as well. But we stopped paying service charge, because how can we pay service charge and not making any money and stopping us growing? So that counted as debt to the group. So we just negotiated and said, look, if we pay back this debt, it was a small amount, and we even, and we swap our shares back, you could buy back our group shares. Are we even? And they said, yeah, let's do it. And so we put it on paper, got the contracts kind of signed, and that was the kind of just the smooth transition. But at the same time, again, there was no friction. I think everyone saw in my eyes and Alice's face that it's either going to be either I jump or we jump, or this thing just breaks. So let's do it as clean as possible and leave as amicably as possible, and get out.
Wow. And when did that completely finalise? When were you completely separate?
So it took about 4 months to really just back and forth with the lawyers and the board, and we just did things officially, shook hands, but we didn't want to announce it to the rest of the group because it could be quite demoralizing, because all of a sudden you had like the fun Studio Blup leaving the group, and that could lead to an exodus. So we kept it under wraps, and then we just then announced it and said, we're basically becoming independent again. But we're still partners. We're still going to pitches together and joint, ideations together. We still feel like we're a family. But it's Dines and Alex's baby again, and so we did it. So we had to. It cost a lot of money. Went into like some personal savings, and the remaining money that we had just to kind of get out cleanly. So that happened in December, and it completed in end of January this year. And we're kind of basically started from the ground up, and it feels amazing.
Oh, well, congratulations for making it through. So it's 2020 all the way through to 2024, right? Of just like ups and downs and back up again and back down again. Wow. So it sounds like what was initially a quest for growth for you, for this amazing exit, turned into more of a battle, exactly as I said at the beginning, between profit and purpose. So I wonder, you mentioned legacy. I wonder how your concept of legacy has evolved over time, having had these experiences.
Great question, Chloe. And I think legacy for us, well, for me, but I'll go for me personally, I was tired of creating work that would last 2 weeks, or create work that make other companies rich, and make them look cool and relevant because of, their ideas. And again, that was just because of, the money and the briefs that we were set. And, I love doing those things, but you realize, like, is this all what it is about? Like, is this what I'm here to do? Just create, and it just gets chucked in the bin and it gets forgotten about. How do I create legacy? Like, how do I create something that's, that stands the test of time, that not just visual, but makes impacts on people's lives? It changes the way people have perception on the industry. Again, growing up in this industry, I always say, there was no creative director that looked like me, so I had to make everything up by myself. And I was thinking, there might be a younger Dines that feels lost, but he needs to you look at me as an example to inspire him to make those right decisions in life. And what does that mean? What does that word legacy for me means? And I think that's when I kind of realized, like, well, it's not all about the money. It's all about the big brand names. It's about what you leave your input onto this world. And I have a son now, and it's just like I'm doing everything for him now, for legacy, to make sure that his generation is fine. So we invented Blup Academy. And that's when our kind of energy and focus and all the 10 years of speaking to universities, going to across the world to speak to thousands of students, came to place. And it was just the awakening of, like, I'm building this thing to make sure that this small Dines has a place in this world. And if you can have a look at Studio Blup and have a look at what Dines has created, then that will inspire him to achieve greatness.
Oh, you just gave me goosebumps. That's amazing. How will you know that legacy is a success?
There's a lot of work, Chloe. And for me, there is no timeline on this. I think I could say it's successful now. The people, the kids I'm speaking to, or the lives we're changing, or the internships that we're doing, or whatever, or when I'm speaking, it's changing lives. So you could say success is happening already. So for me, there is no timeline. There's no like end goal. It's just a thing that evolves to make sure that when I feel it, I feel it. I don't want recognition. I don't want these awards. I don't want to make millions from this thing. I will know when I see it. And when the right conversations are being had about inclusion, diversity, mental health, pressure, stress, like when these things are answered and questioned, and I've played a role in solving these problems, and I'm seeing the change, the bigger we get, the more people we're going to impact. And that's the mission. So this could be the next 10, 15, 20 years. Like, I have no idea, but the work starts now.
Wow, that's amazing. And if that's inspiring any agency owners that might be listening right now, I wonder what advice you'd be able to give to start something like this? Because it must, it must be quite intimidating to try and instill some sort of legacy into your agency. So have you got any advice that you can share for agency owners?
Agency owners, I think they just need to look at themselves in the mirror, okay? And, are you in this game for the right reasons? You got to understand from day one, are you looking at it to make money? Which everyone is, you've got bills to pay, it's understandable, right? But is it the shiny end goal of having 200 people working under you? Or is it inspiring 2 million people with the work and the stuff that you're doing on your days off, right? So it's a lot of hard work, and people often say to me, how do you even time to do this stuff? Like, I don't, but I find the time. As soon as my son goes to bed and then my wife goes to bed, I'm up trying to create these visions, trying to put things in place. So, the hard work goes on. I don't just close the door at 6 o'clock and life's done, and there's a real vision, there's a real mission, there's a real purpose there. So if you're a founder of a company, you have to understand what is it that you really want to leave on this planet. Because when you do die, what have you got to hand over to, your family? Like, how do you make them proud? Like, how are you changing this game? How are you changing this industry? How are you changing this world? I think if you can find a little bit of those answers and put them into your daily lives, then waking up every day is your mission. Waking up every day is your mission to achieve this and actually make a change.
Great advice. Thank you for sharing that. If you could go back now, after knowing everything that you know and learning, I guess this whole legacy thing has really come to the forefront for you, but all those experiences that you've had, particularly over the last 4 years or so, if you could go back, would you change it or would you do it all again?
I would change how I would actually want a deal to be done for a buyout. I would look at myself to be like, not just focus on money, focus on how do I use this opportunity to grow and actually make a difference. Again, going back to purpose and using an acquisition as a vehicle to make bigger change, to amplify my message even bigger, and not just focus on the dollars for me and my personal wealth. I was making decisions from the head instead of the heart, from the wallet, because we never had the money. So I was focused on that. It's a little bit like a musician who signs a record deal, right? They just focus on that, but they're focused on the now rather than, what you could achieve. So I would sit down and, not necessarily if we were to be acquired again, it would be into another sort of creative group. It could be into a whole different industry. How do we, work closely with the educational sector? How do we work closely with council? How do we work closely with technology? To amplify our thing, not just to use what we've got and just keep doing it, being part of something that will grow bigger and using their expertise and their voices to amplify what we're trying to do. And at the same time, just being a bit more grown up about the whole situation and not feeling like an imposter syndrome, having a bit more of a voice and believing in ourselves a lot more, and just knowing that you deserve to be around this table. And when you have those three things and they agree to work with you and do that and we can change the world together, then give me that pen and paper and I'm signing, because, the mission has just started.
Incredible. It sounds like some really valuable takeaways. I know it's a bit of an odd question. Would you go through it again knowing how difficult it was? Some people need that, right? To be able to learn from it. But I love those changes. I think that's amazing. And from your own experience, what do you think agency owners need to know about exiting their business? What, say, top 3 tips would you give?
Top 3 tips. The first one is ask questions after question after question after question, and do not rush the process. Honestly, do not rush this process. If you don't know what certain terms are, learn it. Now you got stuff like ChatGPT where you just ask a question instead of Googling it. It tells you straight away. And I wish that was there, because I'd be like, what does blah, blah, blah mean? It gives you... So now I'm like, okay, now it goes to me is knowing what it is, right? So understand business terms. Listen to interviews like this. People who, not just success stories, man, people where it's gone wrong. Claiming this is why I was jumping at this opportunity to speak to you because, you know, you want to hear it from all different sides and walks of life, and, you know, where it goes wrong, where it goes right, so you can learn and know what to do. And, you know, instead of just going in head first and making mistakes and suffering from it later, be prepared. And the first one is ambition. Understanding that when you're having these conversations, again, like I said, don't rush these questions and answers, but understand that, are they going to be matching your ambition? And, you know, if they are, then push it even further. Push it so then you're in control, and not just become a yes man and just, or a paycheck or just another number in the company. Use your presence to make a difference within this crazy world. So yeah, those are things I kind of like learn on hindsight. But also staying positive. I stay positive throughout the journey. Like when people were so down and depressed and about it, picking everyone up, because I knew that without my team, I can't achieve this. So, you know, we had people going through divorces, breakups, mental, like health issues, health problems. I had to then step out of being a creative director and a boss to become a friend and someone to lean on, because I know these people are there for me, fulfill my dreams, so I've got to be there for them. And I just made sure I didn't lose sight of that, because that made us stronger to achieve the ultimate goal.
Yeah, that's also that die-hard attitude coming in as well, isn't it? Do what you need to do.
Amen, Chloe. Amen.
Right, cool. Can you tell us a little bit about the Academy and sort of where you're at with it now? What's it all about? Tell us.
So it's been 15 years in the making. So it's so funny because when I finished university and I studied and I was doing freelance, I was getting invited back to my old university to talk about how you started off as a build a business. So that started from day one. And then I just started getting invited to talks and universities across the world, across the country. And I realized, and obviously this was like stuff that I was doing off the side, right? So I remember like there was days when I was traveling up to like Leeds, and I'm in the middle of a pitch. I'm like, I don't need to do this. I don't need to waste time and not even get paid for these things. But at the same time, I was helping these kids, and I realized a lot of the tutors would say, guys, after you spoke to them, they were so motivated, and like the results went through the roof. I'm not taking credit for that, but you know, my story was real. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to work for a company, or you don't need to get rejected. Just do this stuff on your own. So that was the kind of message about the Studio Blup growth from the start and how we got to where we were, right? And that 15 years in the making was building up just a loyal fan base, trust in the universities. You know, we're partners with like 9 universities across the UK. To then when I was in the group, I was doing this stuff again on the side and building this network. To the point where after a talk, I'll be surrounded by students, and these students will ask the same questions. I'm under pressure. I don't know what to do with my life. I'm in my last year. I know I'm not going to get a job. Like, I'm struggling. Please help me, Dines. And I remember being in that position. So I sat down and said to Alex, like, how do we teach these kids the Blup way? How do we create a university ourselves, courses, the Blup Academy, to really inspire these kids, so when they finish university, they have a platform that they can log in and learn the tricks and the tips on how to network, how to sell, how to manage your mental health, how to even meditate, understand what money is, you know, what the recommendations are, build this platform, and then we can go to universities, do workshops, prepare your portfolio, all this stuff, like all the stuff that I didn't have, we're going to give to the students and give to universities. So that was part of the purpose. And like I said, when we was building Blup Academy on the side as a separate kind of like business, we realized this is the chance now to have something that's going to help these kids and their postgrads, and hopefully, you know, build this big network. So that's launching. It's already launched, but officially launching to a subscription model. We're going to give it away for free at certain levels. And you know, it's just resources for these students to really get out there into the world and just make an impact with their talent. So that's something that we're really looking forward to. We're building this amazing platform. It's going to be coming soon. You're going to see it. It's going to blow you away.
Can't wait.
And yeah, it's going to be amazing.
That is amazing, and how well it fits into your purpose, but also what a win-win to be able to support people and for you to help these kids. That's amazing. Okay, cool. And what about Studio Blup? What's happening? What's the plans?
Yeah, so it's best time of my life at the moment. I love it. It's like we're back. Aussie Chloe is so good. Like, it's amazing. Like, so we're doing. I can't say a few names, but you'll see it, and on LinkedIn. We're working with these amazing brands, purpose-driven, really big star names. We're releasing more events, more parties, and we're launching our merch again. Back on tour. They're traveling around the world, giving our talks, our showcases. We're doing so much more collaborations. We're just collaborating with the best like creatives as well to have an ultimate Blup X vision as well. The energy is back, the excitement is back. Like we're changing the game again. Like it's amazing because the pressure is off. And Alex and I decided this, that we're doing this for us. You know what I mean? Like there is no end goal now. Even when we're 70, 80 years old, this could be a thing that we pass down to our kids, but ultimately this is our thing. Like Blup is our brand. Like, let's have fun with it. We don't know where it's going to go. It goes to the academy, it goes to the fashion line, it goes to events, it goes to parties. The word Blup now is just an umbrella for what we can achieve. And like I said, it's just us again, and nothing can stop us. And that's the most exciting part every day now.
Oh, Dines, I can see and feel the excitement coming through. And just to wrap this up then, I always ask everyone on the podcast, what does beautiful business mean to you?
When you asked me this question, I thought this is so beautiful. Like, okay, it's beautiful business, but I kind of spun it around. What does business, which is beautiful, mean? And beautiful business means creating with passion and purpose, and kind of believing in your vision, seizing every opportunity. It's about innovation, resilience, making a positive impact. And with a can-do attitude, and goal-focused mindset, I think we can turn challenges into achievements. And we want to create legacy that stands out. So for me, that's what beautiful business means.
What an incredible answer. Thank you so much. And truly thank you for sharing all the nitty-gritty today. Because, like you said, it's so valuable to hear not just the success stories, but the stories where it's been, a really tough ride as well. So thank you so much for sharing, and I just can't wait to see what happens with Studio Blup and with the academy and with everything else.
Thank you, Erin. And there's some bits in there that might scare people, but the whole point of this was being open and honest, so you don't make the mistakes that we did. But at the end of the day, every day is about living. Every day should be different. And if you're waking up with that heart pumping, knowing that you're in the right direction, every decision you make is for the end purpose. All right. So thank you for your amazing questions, and you got some exclusives there, so I can't wait to hear back.
Amazing. Thanks, Dines. Thank you for listening to the Beautiful Business Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, then please remember to subscribe and leave us a review. For more advice and practical tips on what it's really like to build a beautiful business, visit our content hub at wowco.uk/hub, or check out the link in the show notes.